Joey here as the Critical Missourian, where I'm here to discuss criticisms, commentaries about everyday life, Missouri, and the U.S. in general. And today I want to discuss my criticisms and commentaries about politics and how things seem to go completely askew. And also my own disillusionments. So, if anyone asks me what my political views are, I'm going to say I don't have any. I've become so completely disillusioned because, unfortunately, everything has become so divided among political lines that the government seems to be acting more like a kindergarten and a game of King of the Hill than actually a actual government. We have gotten into a point where we are seeing more and more that each politician that comes into office is more worried about what their political party has more to say to do than actually what this country needs, and it's grows weary on the American public, especially now that politics is gotten, and even in Congress, where people are acting more childish. Instead of putting your agendas aside and fighting for what this country needs, doing what's right, and we've gone so wrong. Used to, politicians were more about this country than instead of worrying about political lines, agendas, and everything else. But now it's everything is politicized. I'm even seeing more and more politics, even in the Supreme Court. Then this is a branch of government that should not be politicized at all. No political party should have any step into the Supreme Court. It has to remain neutral in order to guide policies. I mean, unfortunately, my disillusionment on politics, when I finally seen how much nonsense there is, because every time a politician makes a promise to this country, it's always either broken, we feel lied to, or they act so immature, it's unreal. When something goes wrong, the politician will always blame the other political party instead of actually taking the blame, accepting accountability for their own actions. They don't want to do that. They want to pass the buck. And that's not how this country was founded. I mean, even presidential elections is almost like the game of the king of the hill. It's like one dummy is trying to knock up another dummy by saying whatever, however, it gets to get them elected in office. And as soon as they get in office, they don't keep half the promises that they say that they're going to do, and then sit there and say, "Well, it's because the other party didn't let me get my way." Or they come up with millions of excuses why they can't keep their promises, or sometimes they make political promises that they know is unsustainable, unobtainable, or unrealistic. And this is not the way to conduct yourself. And I cannot condone I can't condone this at all. So it's gotten to my head to a point where I'm getting a headache. I've got my own problems in my own life, and I'm sitting here hearing President A saying candidate B is doing this, that, and another all wrong, and this other candidate B is telling everybody in the American public how the president shouldn't have been elected, or mudslinging is not. Cheap shots shouldn't be in politics. It should be you should stand up, tell the American public what you believe in, and then let them decide. Not calling out cheap shots just to get a vote. This is not. This should be. This is the kind of crap that a con artist would do. Low blows and dirty tactics just to get what they want. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's my view of a politician. They're a liar, dreamers, unrealistic people who are not down to earth. They've been disconnected too long ago. And they're children, immature children, and good grief. They take low blows as bad as any other shady person. What happened to having self-esteem and some set of values of like knowing when to draw the line and not cross over it. But yep, leave it to a politician. They'll cross that line. Just started everything, and God forbid the bickering in the oh my God. And another thing, that Congress has become nothing but a child's playground where where whenever a certain agenda comes to the floor, bicker, 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 about as bad as a married couple or small grade school children. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. I can't get my way. Wah, 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 wah. This person's doing that. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah. I'm. They are doing this to me. It's unreal. I mean, it's totally gotten unreal. I mean, the bicker. No. This is the kind of crap that has torn countries apart in the past. If we was to pay attention to history, and unfortunately, and side note, a lot of average people would say, "Oh, it's ancient history. History is ancient history. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me now." And sadly, they don't realize lessons of history could give us warnings about today. And if we Americans would pay attention to the lessons of history, then we learn that bickering among ourselves has ruined nations and caused their downfall. When we let our own personal biases, our own agendas, our own prejudices to creep into our politics, as when we start looking toward the division of this country and its own downfall. If you look at, for example, China, in the Ottoman Empire, they're an example what happens when infighting, intrigue has led to the collapse of their reign. I mean, with the Qing dynasty, the Dowager Empresses had played so much to try to get power that they undermined the Emperor of China just to gain power and to keep it. And because of that, they've weakened and destabilized the country to a point where it collapsed. It could not fight back against the people who have risen up to put a stop to that. I mean, Ottoman Empire, same thing. Court intrigue with the ladies of the empire. The ladies of the empire had tried their best to get their sons as crowned as the Sultan, and it weakened the Ottoman Empire to where it could not not only the fact that modernization was a problem with both these examples, or they modernized way too late. It's just the fact that they became too slow. They let too much bickering and infighting to. I mean, they couldn't see the dangers that that they was posing, and it eventually led to the collapse of these nations. Same example when, like, say, the Holy Roman Empire. It was so fragmented, and because everyone wanted there's like a bunch of a confederation, a bunch of nations under a banner of one super nation that whenever they started bickering amongst each other, they become almost it become almost ineffective. They were unable to defend themselves against outside influences. Point I'm trying to make, people, we need to stop this. We need to get back on our feet, put our agendas aside. I mean, and start focusing on what this country needs and work toward that. We should not worry about what the political bosses tell us. We need to be worried about what is needed for this country in this time and this age and this moment. I mean, this. I could show my criticism for both parties. I'm hearing wah wah wah, the Democrats doing this, wah wah wah, the Republicans doing that. Both are just as fault for some things. Both have their own hands in something, and not one is innocent over the other. I'm sorry to inform you. I mean, like I said, one of my reasons why I don't even call myself liberal or conservative anymore, because the point is even moot anymore, because it's like being a conservative in the Republican Party. We become so closed-minded to to different ideas that we don't even really try to see things from different perspectives. I mean, the Republican Party, like I said in one of my videos, it's got way too much influences by wealthy people who are just trying to make their tax burden go down at the benefit of the working man. And too many influences of the church. Granted, I have my own faith, but I think that your faith needs to stay at home. If you put too much of your faith into politics will be so weighed down by the extraneous forces that it will be slow to respond and move to when changes need to be made. I mean, and then there's the problem with, and I should make a separate video over this about all this, but and then you put the eventual things about beliefs and how they are hard in stone and hard to change, and people will bring their beliefs into the politics of things, and you trying to get them to understand that we need to make changes, and they are so hardline with their beliefs that they won't even try to open the possibility of something different. I have nothing. I have nothing wrong with the faith, but this is the reason why the founding fathers believed in the separation of church and state, because too much of the church into politics is not good. It's going to weigh things down way too much, and it's going to the bickering and fighting that's going on over this certain subjects of, you got bickering over gay rights, abortion, and the list goes on and on. And this is doing harm to our country. We need to keep these subjects out. We need to focus on. We got other problems that are more important in this country. Our infrastructure is falling apart. Our education is in the pits. We rank almost below average across the world, and yet we're bickering over someone waving a gay pride flag. Grow up, people. Worry about more important things than over a crappy flag. We have also got other more important issues, like I said, infrastructure, education is crappy. Our deficits are out of control. The economy is crap. And then we need to start focusing on more important issues, except what what a political party has anything to say. You want to get over there into criticism over the Democratic Party. My problem with them, I love some of their ideas. Free education and other great ideas that were thrown out there. But my problem with them about the Democrats is they got all these great ideas, but can't figure out how to fund these programs that they want without hurting the country even further. We are losing our place in the world. As leaders of the world, we are losing our place. Because, look at the effect, the the BRICS proposal that's going out. There are nations out there that want to claw the American dollar off the uh, off the world as the money dominant currency, and that's because mainly because we're deficits are almost out of control. I mean, we are right now $34 trillion in deficits. I mean, some people may say, not something that they should be worried about. Well, a lot of nations are starting to take notice about the increasingly high levels of debt that this nation is taking on, and yet we haven't figured out how to pay for that. We have basically robbed our children of their future, because now these deficits are now being pushed on their shoulders. They're going to have to be the one to figure out how to clean up this generation's mess. There's no such thing as a free ride, people. Everything comes with a cost, and it could come now, or it could come in the future. What kind of world do you want to be in now, and what kind of world do you want to leave your kids and your grandkids? I mean, when we politicize so much, we end up we're just broadsiding ourselves. I mean, I've just gotten any more. I'm wore out from politics. That I've just gotten where I don't vote. I've tuned out everything. Whenever there's a honest to God politician that is here to do real good, genuinely cares about the people, and actually wants to do things without taking cheap shots and whining and crying when things don't go right, then I will cast my vote for that politician. Till then, I'm staying out. I don't have the time nor patience to deal with the current politics right now, because you're gonna whine and cry about the Democrat, or Democrat whining and crying about the Republicans, and they can't sit down together and try to find. And this is one of the things that I am very annoyed about. They can't come together, set aside and have a dialogue. What do we need to address? What does this country need, and what do we need to address, and what needs to be taken care of here and now? And then have a dialogue among both sides of the politics, both Democrats and Republicans. Have a dialogue. Try to figure out what they can come to a compromise. This is the biggest problem I have about both of them. Neither wants to come to a compromise, because they want what they want, and they will do what it can to screw over the other side of the aisle just to get their agenda. And this I mean, I don't understand. Where is the? I mean, sometimes in politics, you gotta learn to learn. It's almost like marriage. It's a game of give and take. You gotta give up something to get something. You gotta come to a compromise on everything for the common good. I mean, and anyone who's married knows that you gotta do what's good for everybody in the household, not what we want individually. I mean, we can sit here and say we want things this specific way, but when you're married, it doesn't always work that way. You gotta end up saying, okay, I'm willing to give this up. I'm willing to give that. If you give me this, if you give me that. That's just typical with marriage. And that's the same way with politics. It should be in politics. Both sides of the aisle should set aside their agendas. I mean, sit down, have a conversation, and see what this country needs to address and what's more important than their own agendas, and try to resolve them. It's foolhardy. It's totally foolhardy to sit here and demand things to go your certain way. I mean, I remember when not too long, like a few years back, the government was shut down because of selfishness, downright selfishness, and childish behavior, acting pouty and everything else because they couldn't get their way, damaging. I mean, they were willing to drag this country down in flames because they didn't want to compromise and set aside there. I mean, if you got an agenda that you really want to take care of, prioritize. Take care of what needs. Take care of your house first. Then, if you got some things you want to bicker about, do so on another time. I mean, same way with marriage. I mean, the U.S. Congress is almost like a marriage. We need to worry about what agendas in our household is more important at that moment in time, and then everything else we can always bicker about another time when it's not so busy or hectic. We can sit and bicker about it then, or take care of these subjects at that time. But when we got more important issues, we need to stop. That's the time to stop bickering and start compromising. To sit there and make these be in a household and make these demands and say, I want things here, I want things now, and I'm not going to do this, that, and another for this household until I get my way. And yet, you do that in a household. You're willing to get yourself evicted, your lights shut off, and everything else repossessed. I want to put the anecdote to see. It's almost the same way with this government. It's like the American government shouldn't be there should be no sacrifices right there. We need to pay our bills, and we need to stop bickering and start worrying about subjects that are more important. There's no negotiation. Because we're playing with fire. And this country is going to get burned one way or another if we keep going down this path. And it may end up ripping this country apart. We're already almost like a dysfunctional family among all the states in the same household. And I think it's time this country take a few steps back and do a little self-reflection and see if it's really worth all this bickering, fighting, politicizing. I mean, we need, like I said, I think it's time, people, that we take time out, reflect upon ourselves, and stop this bicker, and stop allowing our politicians to bicker, and start demanding that they do what's right, and start dealing with the issues that need to be addressed here and now, not playing kick the can down the road, because it's not fair to our that we create a mess and we leave it to the future generations to take care of. It's not fair, and I think that needs to stop. I mean, it's time to stop. As that phrase come from Harry S. Truman, the president from Missouri, the buck stops here. And it needs to stop right here in the politics. Stop passing it on to the, stop kicking the can down the road and get our crap together. And seriously, stop bickering about what the other party is doing. I mean, you can do that outside on your own time, but not when it's time to call a vote. If y'all want to do you all want to play like kids, go home in your own states to do that, but don't do it on time there at Congress. That should be the American people's time. You need to be worried about the agendas that is more important than worrying about what Sam Hootler is doing across the other side of the aisle. It's got to stop. I mean, start playing like it's a marriage. Play give and take. And stop. And I think it's time, people, because really, we're on the. Like I said before, we're on our own road to our own destruction. Or we're going to end up, we may hold together as a nation, but we'll be losing, our influence in the world will wane to a point to it we'll never get it back, because we're so worried about our own politics. I mean, I think the greatest remark that I've seen, and the greatest meme I've seen on Facebook that holds true, just because we disagree doesn't mean we can't be friends. And we need to hold that comment right there as part of American values. And it should be part of American values. We can agree to disagree, but work together for what is more important. I still hold friendships with people I disagree a lot with because we have different ideologies, but yet we work with what we can agree on, and try to work on something from there. And I think with this, I hope with this video that we finally, I hope finally we really take a hard look and see, is it worth it to hold hold certain values so dear that we're ready to rip this country apart over? Or are we ready to keep an open mind and willing to change things, or set aside those things that cause conflict and work on things that are more important, that need addressing here and in the here and now? Because if that's the road we're on, we're almost at our own fork in the road, where we're going to either diverge and become more, our influence either become more wane, or we're going to destroy ourselves in the end. And because if history repeats itself, as I said earlier in the video, infighting, intrigue, and everything else of the sort makes the politics slow, ineffective, and inefficient to respond to threats that may come about. And we'll be too busy with our own bickering to see that we're about to fall. And I hope this rings with people's minds loud and clear, and start demanding upon our politicians to stop the bickering and start working, and start demanding more compromises when it's time to come to the vote on the floor. And it's the same way in the same way with the presidents. Stop playing this King of the Hill game where you're trying to do whatever, upend the last president, or trying to make a name for yourself. Start looking for agendas that are more important, that hit home to everybody. Not made up not some made up agenda or some made up threat that you'll want to pitch to the American people just so you can get voted in office. I'm not pointing at any president in particular. I'm just saying in general, because I'm seeing a whole lot of misinformation going on out there. I mean, some people are taking science and warp the facts just to fit their agendas and their perspectives and points of view, even though it's factually incorrect. And I hope that this stops in our political system. I mean, the Game of Thrones within politics and within the American presidential system needs to stop as well, because all it's doing is dividing this country, and it's just making us look like fools. I mean, if anyone wants to disagree with me, you're more than welcome to do so. But take a look. But get on a forum with the people outside of this country. Take a look and see what they say. We look like laughing stocks from the way we act in the political game. And I'm sorry to say that, but the facts are facts. I mean, I'm just praying that this country come to its senses and come to the reality fast before it's too late. And I hope with this is the I hope this gives you something to think about, and maybe some of my points are wrong. Maybe I'm a little out there, but I'm just genuinely concerned for this nation, because like I said, if history is anything to teach us about today, it's very, very concerning. And I hope the warnings that our ancestors left us are heeded, and heeded fast. And I hope I see you on the next video. And if you want to if you have any suggestions on the next video, or if you want to make a point of disagreement with my comments, put it down in the comments below. We can chat about it. I'm not closed-minded. I am very open-minded. I'm willing to discuss anything as long as it doesn't cross a certain line that I feel that needs to be kept firm about. So I hope to see you then. Goodbye.